you know our business pretty well. We've got two stores now. We're still kind of that warehouse vibe, but we're looking to maybe transition into possibly a retail or flex space, give us room to be able to do some of the liquidation stuff still. But as of right now, we haven't done much liquidation for the past 6 months. Not like we used to anyway, but just kind of interested in what you're up to now and how you've changed.
Yeah. So I think of our business a lot more as a growth platform for people who are starting out flipping, but eventually want to scale into furniture businesses, a lot more so than like a sourcing tool, which is obviously where we started. There are three areas in which we perform. So three prongs, let's say. First is the technology. That is going to include the sourcing tool, sales tracker, listing platform, things that help you operate on Facebook Marketplace, these secondary marketplaces. It does integrate with websites as well. Like the listing manager integrates with websites as well. So if you're looking to keep inventory up to date on your website, that can be helpful. The second prong is the coaching and community. So we do a monthly mastermind. I do coaching calls. If people want to pick my brain or they want to pick the brains of other flippers, we help facilitate that. The third prong, and really this is where 90% of my energy and focus is nowadays, is building a bridge between furniture retailers and furniture flippers and furniture stores. So, one of the things that we realized pretty early on is that you can only grow a flipping business to a certain extent if you're finding all your inventory on Facebook Marketplace. That probably looks around 30 flips a month. And if you want to, have a storefront, you want to be a legitimate business, you are eventually going to need to build supplier relationships. One route is to buy new, wholesale new. You can, become an Ashley dealer, go get supplier relationships. But on the other side of the pond, what we realized is a lot of these established furniture retailers don't have a good or viable strategy for what they do with their returns and liquidation product, which we were kind of surprised by. But, let's say the furniture industry is $100 billion in the United States. Returns happen 10, 15% of the time. And then on top of that, there's stuff that just doesn't sell, clearance items, inventory that needs to be turned over on a seasonal basis, stuff that people just want to get rid of because it's not moving. So, there's billions of dollars of returns and liquidations just in the furniture industry in the United States. So we've been building relationships with furniture retailers for over a year now. I'd say we have over 20 relationships that we've been able to win in that period of time. We work with brands like Castlery, Lulu in Georgia, Joybird, Interior Define, Rove Concepts, Sundays, Denver Modern, Homebody, Polly and Bark, Benchmade Modern, Burrow, Made in Home, Wayfair, the list goes on. So right now we're in conversation with Article, trying to help them move some of their products on consignment, in addition to Medley Home and Sixpenny. So we have a fair number of retailers that we have established relationships with, and that footprint is continuing to grow. We help them in two main capacities. The first is individual returns. So let's say you are Interior Define and you have a customer that you sold a sofa to. You ship that sofa to them in a box. Customer takes it out of the box. They don't like it. They want to return it. It's very difficult for that customer to ship it back to you, right? Like they once take it out of the box, can't put it back in the box. So typically, and then if it can't be packaged in the way that it was originally sent to them, it's going to be a lot more expensive to ship back. And then you're asking your customer to repackage this product. So typically what ends up happening is that furniture retailer is going to utilize a third-party logistics company to go to your customer's house and haul it out of their home and then store it locally for you until you can figure out what you can do with it. So what we do with our returns program is we know Max and Luke out in Minneapolis, and they're located relatively close to your customer. They have their own storage. They have their own transportation. They know how to move items out of people's homes. And most importantly, you guys know how to monetize the return. So we effectively cut out the 3PL. We eliminate all reverse logistics costs of having to go to that customer's house, pick it up, and then store it. And then for the retailer, they also don't need to think about how are we going to liquidate it? It's already liquidated, right? Our returns partners are paying up front for access to these returns. And then the benefit for the returns partner is you didn't have to look for this deal. You're not on Facebook Marketplace scrolling, checking to see what's available. We pipeline that deal straight into your business. It's new. Oftentimes it is new. Sometimes it's still in the box. It's brand name. Average sale price is something like 15% of retail. And so, you can go ahead, mark that up 3-4 times, sell it 40, 50, 60% of retail. So there's really healthy resale margins. And then finally, this probably applies less to you guys, but for most flippers, who've been picking up free or cheap, really cheap couches on Facebook for $100. Currently, they're tapping into an audience of people that just can't afford anything else. They just need something big and functional, and maybe they have $500 to spend. But those aren't the only kinds of consumers out there, right? There are people with money. There's different segments of the market that you can address. And with the liquidation and return product, what we find is we're getting in front of a value-oriented consumer. So it's someone that has more income. They have discretionary money that they can spend on furniture, but they want value. They want a good deal. And so, the positioning is you could go to Article and you could pay $4,000 for this couch, or you could get the same thing from me. It's new or in new condition, and you can get it for $1,200 instead. And so this kind of consumer is the guy that has a BMW, but he bought it pre-owned certified, right? Something like that. In addition to, so that's one program that we're running, the returns program. And so these pickups are happening individually directly out of the customer's home, and depends the number of items you're getting depends on the number of items that the customer is trying to return, typically in the range of 1 to 3 items at a time, right?
Just a quick question on that, Charles. Are you still doing it where we would go pick it up, or did you say the 3PL is bringing it to a local site?
So we do both, technically. I think where we have the clearest advantage and why we're winning deals with these retailers is that we can eliminate because we can reduce their 3PL fees. So the more pickups that we can facilitate, the less they have to rely on their 3PL partners to pick up and consolidate for them. However, there are certainly retailers where they already have a bunch of inventory that's been picked up and they need it picked, and so they need our resellers to go buy it and pick it up from the 3PL instead. But over time, we imagine that will be less and less because they'll lean on our network directly to do those pickups instead of going to the 3PL first.
If I guess we were to pick up from the customer's house, who schedules that? Would we be able to like set the schedule hypothetically?
Yeah, absolutely. So we just give you their contact info. We try not to get in the middle as much as possible. And like because like with our guys, most flippers that are IB industry partners are pretty experienced, right? They're not like flipping their first couch, and so we don't need to hold their hand as much. And they like know how to communicate. There's some like guidelines and eventually some training that we're gonna have to provide around that. But yeah, we turn over their contact information. We'll set general expectations around communication. But you're free to book that as makes sense for you. And then in our metros that are high volume, for example, LA, New York, Chicago, where we're getting dozens of requests every week now, what I find is like our partners there are running a route. So they'll say like, we're doing our pickups Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then they'll just go fill out their calendar, and then they'll talk to the customer and say like, okay, I'm going to be at your house between 9 and 11, or like 1 to 4, and then they go like do 6, 7, 8 pickups in one day. These customers aren't like people on Facebook trying to sell a couch, right? Like these are people that have already paid, like bought the item, they're trying to return it, and so you don't need to be like there right away because they're going to sell it to someone else. Like they kind of need to wait for you. And so I would compare it more to like talking to Verizon and like, oh, send a technician to my house to like come fix my internet, right? Like Verizon's going to tell you, well, we're going to be there from 1 to 3 on Wednesday, right? And you kind of have to be home to receive the technician.
Yeah, where I could see that kind of working is we set a delivery route every day. So I'm just thinking of maybe after we do a delivery in that area or something, being able to swoop over to where one of the returns would be with an empty truck or trailer and bring it back without wasting much time.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's up to you guys.
A box truck would make it easy too, because then you could get multiple,
yes,
which
absolutely.
we're in the works on that, a box truck.
So what do you guys do for transportation today?
We have 2 pickup trucks and 2 trailers. That's kind of what we've been rolling with since the beginning. We have some nice branded ones now, but yeah, we're looking to get a box truck here soon. So that's kind of the next step up.
That's cool. How much is a box truck? Are you looking at like a new one or a used one?
We're looking around the 25, 30 grand mark, I think. So it's kind of what we're eyeing. We could go the cheaper route, but I don't know if we're going to slap our branding on it and stuff. We want it to last and be reliable and all that.
Yeah, you pay it out the back door anyway, right? So save money up front. So yeah, that's one program we run. The other side of the business is bulk. It's like bulk liquidations. And so, the other side, like if it's not out of the customer's home, then these items typically have already returns will have already been consolidated somewhere. Maybe it's a 3PL, maybe it's their like internal distribution center, but there's also like just the warehouses or their manufacturing facility where they have like their new in box products as well. Stuff that like maybe it's canceled orders or overstock, seasonal changeover. It could even be like products that are on their showroom floor that they're looking to cycle out. So there's like all these other types of liquidations that are also available. And then you have the opportunity to buy those in bulk. And so that's going to be more similar to like a B stock, right? Now, the difference between us and B stock is that we don't run auctions. So everything that comes from us, there's a recommended offer price. So let's say like the retailer is looking to recover 15% of retail. So that's basically the set pricing. And so we'll tell you like, here's how much you need to pay in order to be considered to buy this product. That being said, like most of the time retailers will entertain offers because at the end of the day, they're trying to get rid of this stuff. And if they're unable to find a buyer, most likely it's going to end up donated or disposed of. And so, you can make offers, but we don't run auctions. We're not an auction site. And then all of our products are manifested. So in contrast to B stock, where it's like, there are 90 units of this kind of product, variable condition, but you don't really know what those products are. Like you have transparency into what you're buying before you buy it. And then there's also a reconciliation process. So if you receive the items and it's different from what you ordered, or the items are not in like a sellable condition, either it's damaged, defective, and the extent of the credit that we provide back will depend on the extent of the damage. If it's unsellable, you'll get a full credit or refund back. If it's like small minor defects, like you may receive like a partial credit depending on the extent of it. And so we have a more, let's say, furniture store or flipper friendly reconciliation process. Finally, we have consignment. So there are retailers that are willing to, they just have like a high volume of products that they're looking to move. They don't need to be paid up front for it, and so they're willing to consign out those items to our network of flippers. The consignment trailers are relatively new for us. One of the big partners that we're working with today is Wayfair. That partnership launched in September, and since September, I've shipped out 5 full trailers, 52-foot trailers with a Wayfair product, and then we have 2 more that are getting shipped out this week. So that's starting to ramp up. With the Wayfair consignment trailers, it's mixed furniture. Average MSRP is around 75 grand for the items in the trailer, and then with consignment you pay nothing up front, so you don't pay for the products, you don't pay for freight, we ship it to you, and then whatever you can sell it for, you take 40%. The retailer takes 60%. IB Flip earns a commission out of the retailer's end.
So how does that go with you trusting the retailer on that they're providing the right number?
So these are all products that are typically currently marketed by the retailer, right? So if you like look at the
Oh,
manifest, you can go search for it on Google, and you'll probably find the corresponding product listing on their website.
okay. Well, that makes sense. So this consignment is new, as in the last few months.
Last month, yeah, 45 days, less than 45 days. So we have 5 trailers out, and what I can tell you is it's the product is Wayfair returns. The average MSRP per item is around $1,200, so it's not like the really cheap Wayfair stuff or the really small items. So it's like the stuff that's like typically a little bit higher value that's worth reselling. It's mixed furniture. It's all different kinds of stuff. Like my guy in Atlanta got a load with 3 hot tubs in it. He was a little worried about that, but he actually made a killing on those hot tubs. He sold each hot tub for like $1,200.
Dang.
You know. Yeah, so there's definitely a market for that stuff. About 15% of what we've received so far is damaged and unsellable. Wayfair, frankly, doesn't do a great job of loading it into the trucks, or these are returns, so they kind of just like don't package it and they throw it into the truck, and it's not palletized; it's all floor loaded. Some stuff is getting damaged in transit. So it's about 15% unsellable. But once again, you're not on the hook for stuff that's unsellable. When you receive it, you do inventory, so you like go through, you check through everything that you received, and then you document it through the platform where you'll see the products that have been sent to you, and then you'll be able to mark the status of those items. Stuff that's unsellable, you're not on the hook for. Stuff that is sellable, sell that to the best of your ability. You have full discretion over pricing today. That may change in the future, depending on like the retailer relationship or what we can negotiate. Today, it's full discretion. You sell it for what you can. I think right now what we're seeing is an average of 35% of MSRP. So if we were to do the math, right? Let's say it's just for simplicity, a trailer with $100,000 worth of product, and then 85% of that is sellable. So there's 85,000 MSRP in that trailer, and you're able to sell that for 35% of retail. That means the total gross receipts are around 30,000. If gross receipts are 30,000, and then your cut is 40%, you'd make $12,000 on that trailer. Frankly, where I think this needs to move is I think it's going to be better for our flippers long term if they pay up front for these consignment trailers. But consignment is nice because it lets you get your beak wet, or wet your whistle, let's say, without having to put money up front, and you can kind of see how the product performs. And if it does well, then there is an option for you to buy it out, like buy it directly, and then improve your margins. So let's say if it's $100,000, and this would be sold as is, right? So and then you'd pay the transport cost. But let's say it's $100,000 worth of product, and then 85%. It's $100,000 worth of product, and then your price is like 7.5% of retail, right? So now you're paying $7,500 for the product, and then you probably have some shipping costs. Let's say it's $1,500. So now you're all in $9,000 for that same trailer full of product, but then you're able to sell it for $35,000. Now your margin on that load, now you're making $26,000 on that load as opposed to $12,000. So there's room for almost 100% increase in profit, but you take on more of the risk. So I think the model here is we consign items to you, and then you see how it does. You can get a couple consignment trailers. Hopefully it sells through pretty quickly, and then as you get comfortable with like that retailer, the mix of items that they're typically sending you, you can make a decision to buy that stuff up front. The Wayfair situation is a little unique in that it is unmanifested. So the Wayfair trucks today are sort of like a mystery box. Yeah, like I do not know what you're going to get until you get it.
Yeah, I mean, even in the Target, the 20 or 10 Target loads that we've done, and the Costco, they have a manifest, but it's never accurate. They just, a couple of the items will be, but it's never dead accurate. So that's usually how that liquidation stuff goes anyway.
Hey, Charles, I'm kind of curious, how many, would you say the flipping industry is still, increasing, or would you say it's decreasing? And with that, how many flippers would you say are starting to transition into like actual furniture stores?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the overall size of the flipping market is growing slightly year over year. And the data I would like point to is just like the number of account activations that we get. That number has increased slightly year over year. We've been doing this for 3 years. Let's say that's like 10% growth each year. Now, how accurate is that information? I can't tell you, because maybe it's just like our distribution is better, like we're a little bit more well known. But on the other hand, like there was when we first came into the scene, an existing market of couch flippers that we were able to get into pretty quickly. And then as time went on, obviously we don't get that benefit anymore of like having like uncharted territory. So yeah, I think the flipping market is probably growing slightly year over year as like the idea becomes more well known and there's more creators and content, and but I think with flipping, I also see that the number is not, I don't think the number is going to grow substantially year over year, because I think there's just kind of a natural equilibrium of like what any metropolitan area can sustain in terms of providing a sufficient livelihood for people that want to do flipping part-time or full-time. Because if you're only finding products on Facebook and you're only selling products on Facebook, there's only so many of those products to go around. And then as more people get into the game, it gets more competitive, and then other people will fall out, right? So it somewhat like maintains equilibrium. But the thing that I have noticed is the couch flipping thing it's almost like a movement, right? It's almost like a movement, because you have like all these like independent actors that started around the same time frame of like past 5 years. like let's say really the catalyst is somewhere around pandemic times. So they started their businesses all around the same time. And because there is this community where people can connect and share information, best practices, they're sort of building in parallel. So they're independent, but they're also aligned. And then the people that have really stuck to it over a longer period of time, and particularly the ones that were like good at what they did and hardworking, have started to make this transition into furniture businesses. And like now I see a lot of these guys that started out as couch flippers that have 7-figure revenue furniture businesses or something close to it. And I think that's a very unique facet of this market in this industry. So it's been cool kind of seeing that evolution.
So it's good, Charles. And I wanted to bring up, so kind of where we're at, as you know, we've got 2 stores now, and we primarily work with Ashley for the most part. We've done a liquidation with B Stock somewhat recently, just one. And then we've just been exclusive with Ashley, not exclusive on paper. We've got a couple other catalogs that we can order off of. We just haven't done it, nor do we have the space or interest in, giving something like that a shot, because we kind of know it works. But have you seen any of the stores that you've worked with or brands, that are like us, a little bit bigger, that have kind of kept the Ashley going and done well, but also mixed in the liquidation stuff that you're doing, and how we've done that with Costco and it works, but to what level, are they doing to that?
Yeah. So I think like the progression I see is like people start flipping used on Facebook, then they get into the B stock, and then they get into the new. And then they sort of like transition from like one to the other and then leave the thing, like the previous thing that they're on behind. But the interesting thing is like for a lot of the people that made that full transition into new, a lot of them end up coming back to the used and the returns and like liquidation stuff. It's because you just get better margins. And so there's like, so that like they make that transition to the new, and then they drop what they're doing with like used and returns because it's like eating up a lot of their time. And then they move into the new and they're like, okay, I've found a business model here that's a little bit more turnkey. I figured out how to sell this like one product or a couple different products. And I have like a business, like a growth engine that I can like scale up. And they take the time to fine tune the new model. But after a certain point, like the operations for that and the sales and marketing for the new model gets well defined. And then it's like, I have some extra bandwidth because we figured out how this business runs. And it's kind of like a shame that we're passing up on the occasional opportunity to bring in liquidation loads or a return product, because we know that we can have like really healthy margins on this stuff. And so I think it can be complementary, and it's like interesting. It almost comes full circle.
Are you seeing there's a demographic for new, like big box, which we're kind of that flex, and then liquidation? So there's a huge market for just a marketing perspective. Hey, warehouse store, open Saturday, big deals, and you take a picture of our shop and you see a big warehouse full of furniture. There's some people that only will go to those stores. They'll be like, oh, I just know that they're gonna have better deals than Bob's Discount or Ashley. So that's kind of where we're at. But then we've also got like a build out in both our main store that kind of shows more of that retail feel. And that's where we're kind of that mix. But is there 2 different markets with, you're going to get the people that want the retail feel that we still get today. But then if we brought in the consignment, or not the consignment, but the liquidation, you'd get like a whole nother demographic. Or would they just be feeding off of each other and not really gaining any more sales?
I think the important thing there is not where the product originated from. Was it new in box, purchased wholesale, or was it return liquidations? But it's the curation of the products. So it's like ultimately the product mix that makes it onto your floor. So with returns and liquidations, you could buy the stuff that's like lower end, like Wayfair. You could also buy some really high end liquidations, right? Like for example, one of the retailers we do liquidations for that is really popular among our flippers flipping higher end, like higher margin products, is Interior Define. And we get like 2-3 trailers from Interior Define every month. And it's mostly their canceled orders. So it's all new in box stuff. It's a little bit higher price point wise. Let's say you're paying around 27.5% of retail, but then our flippers are able to turn around and sell it for 60% of retail. We still have about 100% margin. It's all new in box. And then it fits with like higher, like it has that allure of like nice quality, higher end furniture.
Mm-hmm.
So with some of your liquidation, can you sort between like all brand new inbox, or is it always going to be kind of a mix?
It just depends. It really just depends because all right, sorry, I'm running a little late for my other call. Just give me 1 second.
Oh, you're good.
Okay. So I have like probably 2 more minutes here, guys.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry, what was the question?
Well, I guess it wasn't super relevant, but yeah, I think we just kind of wanted to pick your brain and see what you're doing and what you got going on now.
Yeah, absolutely. So like with the liquidations that you can buy directly, like the truckloads, let's say, it's a little all over the place. It depends on like, so what the buying opportunity depends on the retailer, the product that they're trying to move. Is it returns? Is it canceled orders? Is it, whatever? Where is it located? What is the recovery percentage that they're looking for? Like for example, we work with Moe's Home Collection. Their warehouse is based out in Seattle. And in their case, like they have an entire catalog of like $4 million worth of furniture, and you can build your own truckload out of that catalog. And for like Interior Define, for example, that stuff is mostly in Southern California, and then it's pre-configured into a 52-foot trailer, and you don't get to pick what's on that trailer. And then, they're looking to sell that at like, once again, 27.5% of retail. Whereas like the Moe's Home stuff, they're selling that they're selling that for 40% of wholesale. So, they're like the stuff that we get from Moe's is basically their wholesale catalog, but the stuff that they're trying to liquidate, and we get it below wholesale pricing. We get it at 40% of wholesale. So it's below cost, right? But it's not their entire catalog, it's their liquidation stuff. So there's like a very wide range of what the buying opportunities are. And so the best way to know what exactly we have on offer is I send out like email blasts whenever we have that product in. And then you guys should have been receiving some of these emails, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, basically those emails are, and frankly, I've kind of like chilled on the liquidations piece because we've been really focused on the return side, but we are going to put some more focus into increasing the trailers and truckloads that we have available.
Sweet. No, I think that's all good info. We'll let you run here, but yeah, I think Max and I will just chat it over, and then we could maybe meet again, get some more time then.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Let's talk soon. Thanks, guys.
Sweet,
Bye.
Charles. Thank you.